Everyone, welcome to my vlog. Starting these is always hard, and usually there's like 3 or 4 clips in my camera roll where I start it, just freeze for 3 seconds, and then click stop and then try again. But I think I'm going to leave that in. No, I'm not. That's stupid. All right, I watched that back and it's hilarious, so it is the intro to my vlog now. Oh, goodness. I'm already noticing everything I hate about myself when I do these things, which is that my hat is never center, and no matter what I do, it doesn't look right. And then I swear, people who see me in person often, you need to tell me if I do this in person too. I don't think I do hand movements very much in person, but every time it's a vlog, I'm painting a whole picture over here. Anywho, strap in, buckle up, get ready, because this is gonna be a long one because it's my New Year's vlog. Second year running. If you would have told me that I had actually done this a year ago, I would have been like, you're an idiot. But here we are. This is number 13, number 12, one of those two. And I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I have to do my normal December recap. I have to recap the whole year. I want to talk a little bit about the vlog itself. I'm going to talk about, New Year's and change like I always do. And then we'll kind of talk about, this upcoming year and some goals and stuff or whatever. I spelled vlog wrong on this document, so that's cool. So here we go. This last December was action-packed. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of absolutely bonkers and insanely bizarre stuff happened. I should have watched my November vlog so I could tell you, so I don't actually repeat some information. But whatever. We're just gonna. Woo. Let's see. One of the first things that happened was that early on in December, my grandpa went down to visit his family. My grandpa is Mexican, but he lives in America with, my grandma and the family, obviously. But he goes down to Mexico all the time to visit his family. And this is he was adopted as a kid, so we don't actually really know our blood family, to my knowledge. So he was just hanging out with his adopted family, his family, and something was not right, and he called my mom, and there was this big hullabaloo about what was going on, and come to find out that he had a brain bleed, and was just super disorientated, and he got into multiple car crashes and didn't really know what was going on, and so because of that he had to get brain surgery down in Mexico, and so he started to do his recovery down in Mexico, and during this whole time as this is all happening, my mom's updating the group chat and letting us all know what's going on. And I'm just I've finished school essentially. The Frisbee season has just started dying down. The only thing I really have on my plate is this tryout that I have coming up. And it was just clear that there's someone was gonna need to help. You know what I mean? My grandpa couldn't really be alone down in Mexico. Someone had to go help him recover. And a whole slew of other things. And so I reached out to my mom, not even really fully knowing the situation yet, and was like, hey, this is insane. If I can do anything to help, I can do it. I offered to drive down and get my grandpa and drive back because that was originally the plan. And I knew that I, of all people in the family who has their passport and can speak some Spanish, I could afford to lose that work. You know what I mean? Anywho, eventually, as we kind of figured out what was going on, what was our plan, my mom did call me and she was like, I do need you to go down. But I did. I flew down, and I basically just stayed in Mexico for a week. We were in an Airbnb. I was with my grandpa and my aunt, who previous to that trip, I don't think I had seen or talked to in 3 years. And so, yeah, we just, we did nothing. We just sat in the house and we helped my grandpa. He couldn't really walk. He had, a walker. He just, recovering from brain surgery, he just had, a lot of coordination issues. And so, we had to, just kind of, watch him eat because sometimes he would spill his coffee or, stuff like that. And so it wasn't too bad. Just, an interesting situation. But I went down to help. It was a lot of fun. Just being in Mexico. I love it down there. It was warm, which was nice. a good contrast from the snow in Michigan. And I got to do a little bit of like sightseeing, I guess, kind of. We had to like go get my grandpa's car and like fix it. So I like was driving around downtown Mexico with my grandpa's brother or something or the other, just like following him through this super crowded downtown Mexico City, not Mexico City, Monterrey, Mexico, Nuevo Leon. So it was a great trip. It was also like, there's a few things that I really learned from that trip. One is I have an insane amount of respect now. I had respect for it before, but like obviously this type of experience gives you a lot more respect for people who have to care for someone like that in their lives for longer than 2 weeks to recover from a brain surgery. It's just like, it's so awkward. You know what I mean? Like it's my grandpa and I have to like help him with like walking to the door and eating cereal or oatmeal or whatever. And so it's just like, I don't know, you gotta do what you gotta do to help your family. And it just gives you a lot more respect because I could see how, well, first off, my aunt Chris, who had been there for a while, you could tell it was starting to take a toll on her. And, it's pretty obvious even doing that for a few days, like doing this for weeks or months on end would just be, it's exhausting. It's tiring. So I have a lot of respect for people who do that, whether it's as a job or because they have to for their family. But also, like, it was really sweet because I got to know my grandpa and Chris a bit better. For reasons that would take me years to explain about my family and family history and just who I am as a person, I'm not very close with a lot of my extended family. Honestly, my grandpa, who I went down to help out, is probably the closest extended family member I am close with. But even still, like, I just got to know him a lot more. There's just, obviously there's a lot of bonding that you do when you go through tough situations like that. So like going through that with my grandpa, I feel like really got us closer. And I got to know Chris better. Honestly, I couldn't have told you what she was like or anything about her personality other than she's my mom's sister. But that was kind of cool to, be forced to hang out with her for a week and get to know her a bit better. She is surprisingly very similar to my mom, and very unsurprisingly, a very cliche example of what being the oldest sister looks like in a family. So that was, I think, like the second full week of December. I flew down, I helped them out for a week. In the middle of the week, it got really scary. This is going to be a crazy long vlog because my first story is taking forever. This is a really big story, though, I guess. So it got really scary in the middle of the week because my grandpa, his brain started swelling, which is just, kind of natural after brain surgery or brain trauma. And his brain would swell and hit the side of his skull, which would cause seizures. And so we didn't really know that at first. He just started having seizures. And so we were freaking out. We were like calling the doctor. Oh my goodness. Thank the Lord that my grandpa's brother was there when they happened. Because trying to figure out what was going on without someone who's like fully, like me, I speak this much Spanish. Chris probably speaks that much Spanish. And so like we couldn't really do anything that was super important in terms of communication. So it's a true act of God that my grandpa's brother was there. But I actually picked up I was surprised. I surprised myself with how well I was able to understand things. I just couldn't really speak Spanish or like communicate my thoughts and words and whatnot. But I picked up pretty quick, this is just a normal complication of brain surgery. Yeah, so he had seizures a few times in the week, so it got really scary. So my mom actually did end up coming down earlier than she intended. And then I had a tryout that Saturday. So I got down, I think, Monday. And then that Saturday I had a tryout for the mechanics, which obviously I could have missed. But I really wanted to not miss it. And with my mom having come down early and, as the situation kind of changed, it was clear that I didn't really, we weren't really going to need me as badly as I had originally thought, or my mom had originally thought. So once it seemed okay, there's probably a good handle on this, and for a while there, it seemed like my grandpa was going to be stuck in Mexico for 3 more weeks. Anywho, I found a super cheap flight, and it worked out, and I wasn't needed, like absolutely needed down there anymore. And so I flew back, and so that was my trip to Mexico. I flew back, and I had my mechanics tryout. That was that Saturday. Group chat's going crazy. I think it's my work group chat. I had a tryout for the mechanics. They are the professional Frisbee team in Detroit. I got back to town, and I couldn't find a ride, and I really didn't want to drive my car, so I took a bus to Detroit, and got there late, and I walked in the middle of the like beginning of the meeting, so that was cool. It was a grid tryout. I thought that I performed very well. I thought I performed great. I slowed down a little bit at the end of the tryout. I made a few mistakes that I wasn't really happy with, but I didn't think that those were gonna get me cut. And there's another tryout in January, and there were callbacks for that, and I'm about 90% certain I didn't get invited back to the second tryout, which is really surprising to me. My thoughts are they only have 30 spots. They don't do like a practice team or anything. I don't know that I would have made the team. I don't know that. I think that it's possible, but I think I would have made, if I made it, it would have been like 29-30. You know what I mean? But I definitely thought that I was clearly good enough to make the second tryout. And so not getting invited back really just doesn't make sense to me. But that's going to become some really good fuel for me, because when I did the union tryout last year, it was like clear, like, okay, I didn't really deserve a callback. I wasn't really good enough yet. I feel like I've gotten really good. I feel like I deserved at least a callback. And so I am like, that's going to become a big motivator for me, because I feel like I can't, and I'll get more into this later, but I really feel like I can be good enough. I really feel like I can be making these teams and be making a name for myself in the Frisbee world. Like the things I have to fix are they just seem so small and so fixable, as opposed to like, man, I have these really big hurdles to overcome before I can be a pro. No, like I feel like it's right there for me, you know? And I'll probably talk more about that later. But I also say 90% certain that I didn't get a call back, because it's a little vague, because I, not being the best at paying attention, wasn't paying attention. And I can't remember what he said about the process after the tryout. But I haven't received like an official email or text from the team saying one thing or the other, right? But one of the members of the team reached out to me and was like, hey, thanks for coming. We love your feedback on these types of tryouts, which the way it's worded seems very strongly to me to be like, hey, sorry you didn't make the next round. What did you think of our tryout? You know what I mean? But also, like, it never explicitly says that. So there's a very small part of me that's holding out that maybe I'm just stupid and missed some important information, and I do just get to go to the next tryout. But I don't know. I feel like you would get like a message, right? It's like, hey, like, congrats, I want you to come back, as opposed to a message that says, hey, congrats, you didn't make it. You know what I mean? I have no clue. I, A, wasn't paying attention, and 2, tend to overthink these things a lot anyway. So I'm just going to wait until it's a little too close and too awkward, and then just reach out to somebody and be like, hey, what's the deal here? But even if I am actually invited to that second tryout, or even if I did get invited to that second tryout, making the team would be a long shot. Not a long shot, but I don't think it would happen for quite a few reasons. One of those is that this last fall, I'm going to talk more about Frisbee later. Do I have a spot to talk more about Frisbee later? No? Well, yeah, I guess I should talk about it later. Okay. Anywho, we're going to move on. So, in Grand Rapids, I've been working at a Wendy's. I can really only do part-time because of when the Davenport practices are scheduled, which is starting to make me mad, and I think that if I come back next year, going to talk more about that later, I'm going to tell the coach, like, hey, you need to structure it so I can do full-time, because I'm going to lose it. Or maybe I should just stop whining and complaining and pick up more hours. But Wendy's has been going great. It's a great job. I've talked about how much I love the Wendy's job. It's getting even sweeter because through sheer luck for me, not really for Wendy's, but sheer luck for me, people are quitting. Not because of anything to do with the restaurant or our boss. It's phenomenal. It's a great job. Just because, life, or because they're moving away, or because they got a job closer to where they live, or, whatever. But because of this, I've found myself in a really great spot where I'm going to get another promotion now. I'm going to get paid even more. And the further up I get, the easier and the better and the more fun the job becomes. I like the job in total as a whole, but the manager parts of a fast food job are so much fun. Like keeping track of inventory and ordering, and oh my goodness, I love it. It just feels great. And it also just gives me a lot of job security. Not that I'm invincible, but it's a little harder for me to get fired or to lose my job when they kind of need me now, in a sense. Obviously not invincible. Anyone can get fired, but so that's really nice and really sweet. My work has also been phenomenally beyond understanding with everything that's been happening in December. I called off for a week for obviously going down to see my grandpa, and then there were a slew of other things that happened the week after that were just super frustrating. And honestly, one day I woke up and was like, man, if my boss fires me, I wouldn't even be surprised. I made a mistake. I also was just being a little bit of a burden. I wouldn't have been surprised, but my work has been super understanding, and that's super sweet. Yeah. I got a new phone. Does it do the I'm recording a video. It won't do them. Yeah, if the camera looks better, it's because I got a new phone. I talked about earlier in the year how my phone was going down the drain, and so I upgraded with Verizon. If you've been on their plan for long enough, or if you're on a family plan, usually upgrading is pretty cheap, and this was pretty dang cheap, so I'll take it. And then I'll talk about the holiday season, just reading off my list here. I want to get through this December section, holy cow. The holiday season was great. I'm a grump. I hate the holiday season, but the more I live alone, I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's just a getting older thing, but the holidays start to become less and less of this overhyped Christmas, or maybe it's just because I haven't been going to church that much. But I feel like Christmas is always just super heavily talked about and overhyped, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, and I hate it, and it's stupid, and I could talk about that forever. But I feel like this year, it was just oh yeah, I guess Christmas is coming up, and that made the holiday season so much more bearable. The holidays themselves are fun and awesome. I love we go to my grandma's house in Chicago every year on Christmas Day. We had Luna Thanksgiving, which is my mom's side, at my mom's house. That was surprisingly amazing and cool, and had so many people show up. And really the theme for this year has just been really getting to know my family better than I ever have, which I love. I really love that. Obviously, it started with my trip in Mexico with my grandpa and my Aunt Chris. And then at my dad's side Christmas, on Christmas Day, I feel like that was the most people we had ever actually had show up. And I didn't really get to know them that much, but just I learned names, which is good. I know the names of my cousins. I don't know. It feels like I just got, I know my family more. Not just oh, I think I have a cousin over there. I know there's this family, there's this family, this family. They have these kids. I know my family better, and I really like that. And we did get to know the cousins a bit better. It's just a little different on my dad's side of the family, because that's literally the only day of the year we see those people is on Christmas Day. My mom's side of the family, same thing. All my cousins showed up and all their kids, and it was packed in our house. And it, family's weird, because as much as I am not those are not people that I would hang out, you know what I mean? They're not people I would be friends with. We're very different. We live different lives. We have different values. But it was just so sweet to just, I don't know, like have my family all in one spot for the most part on both sides of the family on the same year. It was really weird. And just getting to know them a bit better. Be a cool uncle to the little kids who are running around. Got to kind of have like a, I don't know, I guess because of the divorce, we haven't really had like a family Christmas in a while. This was the first time, I think, in a few years it's really felt like my family again. So that's really sweet. And then all the siblings stayed back. And so we had all 6 siblings from my immediate family back in Galesburg, which I honestly, there's a pretty good chance that that was never going to happen again. So it happened again this year. Let's frickin' go. And then again, next year, the chances of us all 6 being in the same spot again, it just gets lower and lower every year. That's how adulthood works. You know how it is. Whew. But after that, all 6 kids stayed back, and we played a game that I wanted to play with the siblings because I really want to. Not only has, growing close to my family been on my mind with my extended family, but really with my siblings lately. And so I wanted to do this game that's a little more intentional and a little more intimate to get to know my siblings more on a deeper level. Because there's a lot of, it's not really trauma, but I don't know, I guess just typical family stuff that has just, I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure you can use your imagination and come pretty close to what family is like sometimes. But I really tried to bring us together and try to build some bonds between us as siblings. And I thought it was really sweet. I thought we got to be I think I got everyone to come out of their shells a little bit, be a little honest. That's really what I want, is that like with siblings, we don't really have to be best friends. Some people are really good friends with their siblings, some people aren't. But I think that what I really value getting out of with my siblings is that because they're family, we can just be honest with each other. You know what I mean? Like with my friends, there's certain things that's just like that's not really your business. It's not your right to know. And I guess there's always things like that with your siblings too. But I think there should be, at least in my mind when it comes to my siblings, there should be a little bit more like, listen, I'm just going to tell you what's going on. I'm going to tell you how I think. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Because we're not friends, because we're siblings. Because I don't need you to agree with me and like me so that I'll keep hanging out with you. Because that's typically, in a very general, reductive sense, how it goes with friends. But with family, it's like, listen, we are going to hang out all the time. We're going to see each other's kids when we're older. Like, I just want you to know who I am. I want you to know what's going on. And there's a lot of things, again, pretty much typical family things that have kind of gotten in the way of that. So I really want to try and fix those bonds. And obviously with Carmen and Andrew now finally getting the age where we can actually build those bonds with them, it's really sweet. Andrew is, I won't speak about my siblings, actually. Not on here, sorry. Okay, cool. Only 22 minutes from my December recap. This is why I'm switching to 2 weeks. We're going to get into that later. Now we have the full year recap. This will probably go quicker, okay? Because I already gave you the stories if you've been watching my vlogs. So kind of what's been happening this whole last year. I'm at a new school. That happened this year. I'm at Davenport University. People have been asking me, my family, my friends, my mom, all sorts of questions. I'm here to set the record straight. What is John studying at Davenport? What degree is he pursuing? I am getting a master's in urban education, okay? It is just basically a master's of education, which allows you to go on to be a principal, a vice principal, an AD, stuff like that. It's just focused in urban education, okay? I haven't seen that focus yet because I've taken 2 classes, okay? Now, here's the real tea. I could care less about that degree, okay? Getting a master's would be cool. Don't get me wrong, okay? I went to Davenport to play Frisbee, okay? Someone asked you, I don't know who's watching this that would get asked this, but if someone ever asks you, like, oh, what's John doing up in Davenport? Like, what's he studying? He's studying Frisbee. He went there to play Frisbee. Like, the classes are cool, and I like them, and I enjoy them, and a master's would be great. But I went to Davenport to play Frisbee. The degree is just a means to the end. I might finish it. I might not. We're going to see what happens. But yeah, that, happened this year. And that's, a big change. Some other things, I've just been living more independently. I say that, and I still live on a dorm at this grad school. Oh, goodness. There's the first burp of the vlog. But like I've been gathering all of my things and kind of consolidating. So I have like my stuff, you know what I mean? And I've been starting to switch to paying my own bills and paying my own insurance and like starting to make my finances really, I don't know, adult-like, independent. And I do want to move off campus soon. Money's just been an issue. Obviously, with a lot of stuff that's happened in December, I've taken a big toll on finances. This is actually probably my worst financial year ever. But life goes on. I'm not bankrupt, just incredibly broke. And it gives me good motivation to start working more. And also, like, even before I was like, crap, my finances are terrible, I want to start working more. Like, realizing the things I can get that I want / need / desire from working is like a really big motivator for me lately, which has kind of been setting in December. Like, I want to move off campus. I have to work to make that happen. You know what I mean? I have to put in 30 hours a week minimum. You know, I want to start that, whatever. You get the gist. I got a college degree this year. Okay, believe it or not. That's like a year recap. I don't know how to phrase this because we just talked all about December, which was still like recent. And now I'm trying to switch to like vlog year recap. So it's just a weird like switch. It feels weird sitting here alone in my house. I got a college degree this year that happened in 2024. If you're watching this in 2028, 2020, 2030, I'm trying to think of a far off year, 2050, baby. Then you'll know in 2024 I graduated college. That happened this spring. Something else that's been huge this year, 2024, is that I have made insanely large strides in tackling and understanding my mental health. That has been something that I have been technically working on for the better part of 4 or 5 years, and my mental health has technically only been getting worse and got significantly worse this year. However, I just like the resources I have now, the steps I've been taking, the relative closeness I am to a solution in quotation marks is amazing. And there's a lot of people out there, I'm going to talk about this real quick. There's a lot of people out here who are like, oh, like you'll never fix your mental health. You just have to live with it and deal with it for the rest of your life. That is not true. Like for some mental health issues, that is, okay? But there are some people who just feel like they're doomed to their mental health forever. You know, some mental health issues are like fixable, curable in a sense, if you want to use that word. You know what I mean? Like, it's entirely possible that you suffer with depression for a few years. You get it fixed. You get on medication. Your life circumstances change. And then for the rest of your life, you're never depressed again. Like, that's entirely possible. I know a lot of people with anxiety in particular who are like, I'm doomed to be anxious and full of anxiety for the rest of my life. And I just have to manage it. Okay? That's just not true. Like, you can get to a spot in your life where you are no longer controlled by your anxiety. And that's not managing it. That's a cure. That's fixing it. That's solving it. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like drug addiction. That's going to sound weird, but it is. Because like people with drug addiction in some degrees are like, well, there's always a chance of relapse. And while that's true, like I don't want to like just pretend like I'm never going to relapse again. You know what I mean? It's also true that I can get to a spot where I'm going to get to a point in my life where I will never relapse again. I don't know when that point will be. I don't know if this is the one or if it's going to be the next one. But at some point, hopefully and ideally, I can get to that spot. And even though I don't know that I'll never relapse again, I never will. And I have effectively fixed that issue. I've cured that issue. I don't know. Mental health is complex, and I'm not trying to call any one person out, and I'm not trying to say all anxiety works this way, all depression works this way. But there's this big, when I talk about my mental health issues sometimes, or when people talk about their mental health issues, it's just like you're doomed. And you just got to manage it and hope that it gets a little better and every day's easier. But I don't think that's true. One other thing that happened this year that is actually low-key a big deal is that I started coaching a youth frisbee league. This has been amazing. I love it. It's not surprisingly, as a education major and a dude who works at adventure sports camps in the summer, coaching a youth frisbee league has been like the love and joy of my life recently. I need more of that in my life, like doing things that bring me purpose. But there's something about this that's just so unique that's never really been done in my life before. Camp War Eagle is big on coaching youth sports, but you only get a week to do that. And they focus more on the coaching aspect, more on the impact you have as a coach aspect, as the role model aspect. Cool. And I love that. But a part of me also wants to like pass on my experience and my knowledge. And that's something that youth frisbee does that like Camp War Eagle doesn't really do, or that other like mentorship things that I've done don't really do. Is that not only do I get to be a good role model with these kids and slip in like good life advice while I'm coaching, but also like I can make them better at frisbee. I can help them find that passion. I can be a part of their journey, and that's been really sweet. And I've been coaching like 6-year-olds, and maybe they're not that young. 3rd grade? How old are 3rd graders? They suck at frisbee, but it's so much fun. They're sweet. I love children. I love working with children. I don't know. I'll never understand the people who get just mad or annoyed or can't deal with children for long periods of time because, I don't know. To me, it's easy. It comes naturally to me. Anywho, that's another thing that has happened this year, looking back, is that I've started coaching Youth Frisbee League. I love it. I signed up for the spring, and honestly, even if Frisbee as a personal venture never works out, I want to keep coaching it because it's definitely the sport I have the most knowledge in, and it's something I'm passionate about, even if I never go pro. Okay, so let's kind of mark like the halfway spot. So if that's true, I told you to buckle up. We'll take a snack break. Go ahead. Pause the video. I'm not going to wait for 5 minutes while you eat, you freak. You done? Okay. Whew. All right. So the last half of the video, hopefully not half, hopefully like 2/3, you know what I'm saying, will be about, I have it titled New Year's and Change and New Year Look. But before that, I kind of want to talk about the vlog. Because I've had a lot of people talking about it recently. It's blowing up in the polls. It's huge. This vlog is meant to be a life update vlog. It's kind of the point. I talked in my last New Year's vlog about all the things I really want it to be, and it is all of those things. But at the end of the day, what I really want this to be is a way for people to stay connected with me, even though I've moved away from 90% of the people I know. And so I think a lot of people like talk a lot about the vlog and say these different things, and I don't disagree. I'm just saying that I am not making this vlog because I want you guys to be so enamored with how cool my life is. You know, I'm not making this vlog because I don't know. I don't know. I can't even think of examples of what people have been saying. Like, I just make this vlog to stay connected to people because I value that a lot. I really do. Actually, I guess it depends on who you are. Some people, I'm like, I could care less if you watch my vlog. Get out of my life. Or, like, choose to be in my life if you want to. Your own prerogative. I don't really care. Okay? But on the whole, I make this vlog for the people who I don't talk to every day. Because I'm not good at, like, texting people or calling or, like, telling people what's going on in my life. I hate that. So this vlog just serves as a way to do that. That being said, there are some changes I'm making. I understand that asking people to sit down for 10/20 minutes just to hear me ramble about what happened in a month is not ideal. So I want to make the video shorter. Other than this one, because this one is like, woo, the whole year, baby. This can be more like a podcast or something you put on in the background and listen to or something like that. Like, this isn't designed in this particular video isn't designed in the same way the other ones are. This one fulfills more of those like posterity and like looking back ideals that I want from the vlog. But my monthly vlogs, which will now become bi-weekly vlogs, the goal is for it to just be a quick 5-minute update. What's going on in my life, right? And so, that's one of the changes I'm making. I'm going to start doing these bi-weekly. I want the videos to be shorter. I always feel like I have way too much to talk about in the middle of the month. And so the videos are going to be hopefully shorter every 2 weeks. And then we're talking about some funny things. Some people have given me some suggestions. We'll see. Some people were like, you should like record parts of your day and like put that in your vlog. Here comes another one. Oh. I think that's gonna bump the runtime. B, I don't. Again, like the point of this is really just to be like an update, almost as if like we were going out to have coffee and have a conversation. Except you can't reply, which is ideal for me because I love talking about myself. But like I just don't want to. I don't want to like be the guy who's always concerned about like, oh, I gotta get this on camera, or like thinking about like a good shot, or like I do something like, oh, that would have been good for my vlog, and then I go back and like fake it. Like I just don't want that to be the type of person I am. I don't want that to be the types of things I'm thinking about. But I do think that some things would be really cool to get a quick video of and, just talk over that in my vlog so you can know what I'm talking about. In some ways, it would build a deeper sense of, I don't know, connectedness, if that's the goal. But I don't know. So I might try that. You might see some experimentation in the next few vlogs, but I don't think that I'll stick. What are some other things? Some people have asked for merch, which is absolutely bonkers bizarre. There's like 6 views on my last video. I'm not dropping merch. That's nuts. It's really funny though. If we get, tell you what, I'm gonna do like a typical YouTuber influencer thing. After I said I just didn't want to be that guy. If I get 500 views on this video, I will drop a piece of merch from you guys. It'll probably be like my toenails in a bag or something stupid just to get you guys. But yeah, but also these conversations. So I brought up those 2 things because they're a little funny. But I also, shout outs for people. I've been kind of getting on people in my everyday life about not getting shout outs in my vlog because I think that's funny. And I think that if you don't get a shout out in my vlog, you suck. You're stupid. And so, but now I feel like I'm gatekeeping the shout outs. Like I don't want to shout them out just to make them mad. But I don't know where I was going with that. Anywho, talking with a few people really made me realize like who the vlog is for, if that makes sense. And hopefully I want to expand that. I hope that there's more people in my life who care enough to watch 5-minute videos about what's been going on now that I live hundreds of miles away from you. But it's really I don't know, sweet, rewarding in a way to like know like these people care. Like these people who like we are not best friends. We were not even best friends when I knew them. But they are friends of mine and they care about me. And that's really cool. To just kind of see some of who that is. I'm sure not everyone, but that's cool. Okay. Last 2 sections, New Year's and change. I need to put like a title, like a little rainbow. So if you remember my last New Year's vlog, I talked a lot about what I think about like making changes in your life and what I think about this, like all the whole like hullabaloo about New Year's and whatnot. And I talked a lot about like doing the little things, the day in and the day out to make yourself happy and to make changes for yourself in the long run. I said that and then I didn't do it last year. The plan is to do that this year. And I think that it might, I have a bit of optimism going into this year of doing that because I started experiencing these feelings not at the new year. I started experiencing these feelings a few weeks ago, but I was like, listen, it's holiday season. I'm going to take my break and then I'm going to set myself up, right? And so it wasn't like, oh, it's New Year's. Here's all of this rush to like fix things and change things and do things new, which I hate because it's kind of really inauthentic. But like, I think that came along more genuinely. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. But what I have been realizing a lot is that those day in, day out things, a lot of those just like small habits that people do because they're like, I don't know how to describe it, like the societal right thing to do. And they like they are, like you should do them. Like, I'm losing my train of thought. A lot of those small habits from your day-to-day life, it is not uncommon for people to lose those things to lose those habits, to lose those traits when they're struggling or when they have poor mental health, right? And so there's a lot of things I'm realizing, like if I do this every day, it will improve my mental health, it will have these benefits for me, and it will enable me to start actually doing and tackling long-term goals, right? And some of these things are like mind-blowingly stupid. You know what I mean? Like get up every day and brush your teeth, right? You know what I mean? But like when you're struggling with mental health, some of those things slip out the window and you don't even realize that you haven't been doing that. Or like getting up and showering every day. Like it's not that I ever stopped showering every day, but at some point getting up and showering every day just became the thing I have to do because that's what humans do when they get up and I have to get through life, right? Instead of I'm going to get up and shower every day because it's good for my physical health, it's good for my mental health, it creates structure in my life, and because feeling clean leads to me feeling motivated, leads to me doing the things I want to do, right? And like doing things with that level of intention, I think is what I want more from my life. And I think is what has been kind of missing and I've kind of lost due to struggles with mental health, right? I don't know if that's something that really makes sense or if you're like, no, I don't understand. I'm going to assume I'm right, even though I haven't really fully thought out this thought. So I don't know. Hit me up with your thoughts about that one. Anywho, that's kind of my goal with this next year is to fight to get those small things back. And to fight to get, like, not fighting to get them back, like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth again. Like, that's easy. I can do that all the time. Like, realize, oh, I haven't been brushing my teeth, and I start brushing my teeth again. That's not really fighting to get it back. Fighting to get it back is like, I am going to establish a pattern of brushing my teeth for the right reasons and in a way that pattern will never go away. Never. You know what I mean? Like that level of like, I am going to ingrain good habits in my life. And this goes beyond, like, I'm talking a lot about hygienic things because those are a little more cliche, a little more known to be connected to like mental health. But this even goes for like other things like how I manage my time, when and why I choose to go to the gym, what exercises I choose to do because of what goals I am seeking, how I structure hanging out with my friends, and the ways in which I do those things. I gotta go run and grab my charger. My MacBook is gonna die. I'm not even gonna pause my video. I'll just edit it. Oh, where's my charger at? I think it's in my room. I was in the middle of New Year's and change. I wanted to point out that I think it would be cool if people reached out and talked to me. Like, again, I want this to kind of be like an update or like a conversation. And so I'm not going to be weirded out if you're like, hey, I would love to hear people's thoughts on certain things I say. Certain things. I'll tell you if I don't want to hear your thoughts. I'll be like, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Shut up, actually. Okay, so diving back in. I doubt this part of the video will be much longer, so. So for the better part of 4 or 5 years, I've been going through what can only really be described as like a trial, like a multi-year long trial, which is really cool. We talk about that a lot in Christianity, I feel like. And I used to, I feel like a lot of times I tried to, find the point. You know what I mean? I tried to, say, oh, this was the point of everything that's been going on, and this is the lesson that I've learned. And I would just kind of, I felt like if I could get to the point, if I could get to the reason of why the last few years have been awful, I would, I say awful in quotations. Plenty of things have been great about the past few years. But if I could get to the point, if I get to the reason, if I could learn my lesson, then the trial would end, right? Except I had done that 3 times, and the trial never ended. It just kept going. And so, I don't know, that's just been a little bit frustrating, but I've just been kind of realizing, and I'm trying to, kind of regather my thoughts on what I think that all means. Because, we like to think that all these trials or all the things that we go through have, a point. Or, there's a lesson to be learned and gleaned from them. And it's not like I didn't learn, it's not like those lessons didn't mean anything. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I guess I think sometimes we think of it as a little transactional. once I go through this trial and learn this thing, it'll stop happening to me. But that's not inherently true. And there's a lot of things I think that Christians really just tie connections to that there aren't. And so trials is a big one I've been focusing on lately because I think that there's a lot there that I want to kind of think about how that fits into Christianity and how that fits into God and his character. Because, I think I have a feeling that I sound really young when I say 4 years for a trial sounds long. You know what I mean? I bet there's a lot of 50-year-olds out there who are like, dude, I went through a 15-year-long trial. You know what I mean? Like, but then like I have questions about like 15 years for a trial. Like, what is the point of that? Anywho, that's what's been on my mind. But more importantly, because of what I would call this like ongoing trial of mine, I would say that right now I'm the furthest away I've ever been from God, which is really just interesting to me and also super frustrating. And like I said, there were multiple points where I was like, oh, this was the lesson that I learned, now I'll get closer to God again. Oh, this was the lesson that you learned, I understand now, and I'm going to get closer to God again. And then it never happened. And it's really frustrating to me because of that, because it seems so all uncorrelated. Like there's nothing I can do to get that relationship back with God. So yeah, I would say I'm really far away from God right now, but I'd also say I'm in a really good spot about that, if that makes any sense at all. Obviously a lot of that is tied up in with mental health, and understanding mental health is hard. Understanding religion is hard. Understanding the way mental health and religion interact with each other is got to be probably one of the hardest things to comprehend or understand. And so in a lot of ways, I'm just kind of like I'm going to stop trying to figure it out for myself and just live it and learn it that way. You know what I mean? But it just like, I've gotten to a point, this is recent, where I'm starting to miss the relationship I had with God. For a while, at the start of this, it wasn't really like a missing or a longing of the relationship with God. It was more like I need to get back to where I was. Like I need to get, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was almost more achievement based. But recently, like the last month or so, I was just kind of like, man, I'm just tired. I'm frustrated that it's this hard. And I just wish I felt the way I used to feel about God, about life, about religion. You know what I mean? So that's been kind of interesting. And it's another thing that's kind of on my mind. I'm realizing now that all of these bullet points are very loosely connected and not as much a flowing thought as I once thought they were. But hey, this is the vlog of rambling. It's my New Year's vlog. Buckle in. Yeah. So, something that I'm kind of next thing I'm trying to figure it out, is kind of a more hedonistic approach. And this kind of goes into what I talked about with the small habits and like getting them back. In hedonism, if I'm not wrong, hold on, let me look it up real quick. See if I'm wrong. Can re-record this whole vlog. Okay, the Wi-Fi is not working. Oh. Yes, a philosophy that prioritizes pleasure over other values in life. Okay? And I think that a lot of times when we think of hedonistic values, we think of short-term joy. And maybe that is what actual hedonism is getting at. And I'm misusing the word, but that's not what I'm getting at, right? Because short-term joy is, hedonism in the short term is what can I do right now to make me happy? And I think that leads to a lot of, things that I actually don't think are the end of the world, but at the end of the day aren't really good for me and aren't what I want to do. Like drug use. You know what I mean? Like, this will relax me and I'll have fun for right now. Or like even just like drinking alcohol, if you want to get a little more tame, a little more conservative up in here. Like, it's very short term. You know what I mean? And it's not that it's bad. Like, it does bring you joy for a short term amount of time. It is fun. It is relaxing. But that's not what I'm talking about. And I'm also not trying to like say that that's terrible. In some way, short-term hedonistic approaches are really good for you. You know what I mean? And an essential part of recovering from mental health. But I'm talking about is like finding I guess, some of these things sound so simple when you say them out loud, but like finding the big things that bring me joy in life and then setting goals and living the small steps daily to get to those. You know what I mean? And obviously that goes back to like fighting for the small habits, like I think that if I it's just like fighting for these goals, I think can be a lot harder when you make it about something that it not really is. When at the end of the day, the only reason you really only do something is because it brings you joy in life, right? And so instead of trying to be like, well, I want to be the best Frisbee player ever, I'm going to work out every single day and always feel sore because of that. And just the issue with that is that like I might not become the best Frisbee player ever. I might even not even become a professional Frisbee player. But if it becomes something more along the lines of like being in good shape brings me joy, and striving to achieve high goals brings me joy, and working out not only might enable me to do those things, but working out in and of itself also brings me joy. I just think that like structuring my mindset in that way is going to help me actually fight to get the small habits back in my life. It's going to improve my mental health and bring me short-term and, more importantly, long-term joy, right? And I think that this hedonistic approach might also help me reconnect with God a little bit. I think that hedonism is actually kind of ingrained in Christianity. There's a whole book on this called Desiring God by John Piper. It's pretty good. I don't remember what it says, but I do know that one of the things that John Piper kind of argues is that God created us and the world essentially out of an excess of love and joy. And a large majority of what God actually wants us to do is experience love and joy in its purest form. Like, obviously, like, there's a lot of other things and, like, pushing the gospel, but all of those things really just kind of long-term route back to God wanting us to experience love, joy, and the glory of his creation. And so I think that maybe if I just fix the normal hedonistic issues in my life, that might also help me reconnect with God. Another big issue, I think, kind of with God going on in my life is just, I think that Christianity is inherently community-based and needs to be. We talk a lot about the individual relationship you have with God, and I think that's important. I don't want to downplay that. But even if you have a really great relationship with God, at the end of the day, God doesn't sit at the table and physically talk to me, unless my mental health is way worse than I thought. And so I think that, there's reasons for that gap. But I think that an essential part of filling that and an essential part of religion and Christianity is community. I do. And the issue with churches nowadays is that even the best Christian churches I have ever been to don't have community. They try, and good churches try to ingrain that, and those are the churches you should seek out, okay? But at the end of the day, churches inherently, the way we have them designed in modern America, just aren't community-based. They're just not. I don't know how to describe it, man, but it's really prominent. It'll become really obvious for you to see if you ever move to a new city alone, like I have. Because you try to tell yourself, just going and worshiping with community believers is what it's about. And then you go do that in a room full of strangers, and you're like, man, I don't think this is what it's about anymore. And I've been going to this church, it's a little tough with Frisbee. But there was a stretch there where I'd been going multiple weeks in a row, and no one spoke to me. Not a single person. And I think that radically strong and over-aggressive in good ways community is what Christianity should be about. And the fact is that going to a random church's Sunday service does not build any sense of community at all. It fills an important part of religion, which is getting a healthy dose of God's word, okay? But there's a lot of stuff you can talk about denominations and pastors and like how healthy is that word that you're getting and whatnot. But even if that's like perfect and that's giving you your dose of God's word that you need from like preaching and whatnot, like it's just such a small part of Christianity. It's such a small part of your own religion, you know? And so again, I think it's all about community. It's all about having people people who talk to you about you, and people, more importantly, who talk to you about God. And so I think that that's really the big issue in churches today, is that we're so casual about community. I think we want to not come off as like super overbearing, which makes sense due to a lot of the history of the Christian church. But like, I think that's just what people need. I don't know. Not fully thought out, but yeah. Another issue I've just been having is just that there's no one, people don't really want to think about the big questions they have, and that drives me nuts. I don't know, people on both sides of the aisle are just so stuck in their ways, and it's just like, I just want people who can talk about things and be willing to admit like that might not actually be how it works, and maybe I'm wrong about that, and just like figure out what these, especially with like, there's so many things in the Bible and in religion that are just like, they're not really gray areas. They just don't fully make sense to anyone thinking with their brain, right? You know what I mean? And it's just like, I need to figure out how this fits into my values. And I just feel like there's not enough of that in the church. It's more like, come to this building and we're going to tell you what those values are. And if you disagree, well, we're just going to keep preaching it like it is, and sucks to suck. You know what I mean? And I think that's why, we need to start getting more towards community, is because like in community, you can foster those types of conversations. And in a community-based church, those differences in beliefs don't actually make that big of a difference. You know what I mean? Like, we have such a denominational church nowadays where I can't worship in a church with somebody who believes that. I can't worship in a church with somebody who believes that. But like because it's right now, the church is all about the preaching. It's all about the beliefs, the what parts of Christianity are right, the what parts of Christianity are wrong. But when Christianity becomes about community, then those differences don't become like make or breaks. You know what I mean? They just become, I don't know, thoughts I've been having about the church. I'm going to move on because I could talk about religion forever. And the final thing I'm going to talk about in my vlog is just kind of a look at the next year. This is in the way of what I want to talk about. There we go. Let's see. I don't want to talk about next year. It's a New Year's vlog after all, even though, I have a lot of thoughts about the New Year's. So here we go. Okay. Next year, I want to get into the best shape of my life. And I think there's a higher bar for that and a bigger drive for that for me this year. Holy cow, I'm sorry. Because of Frisbee and some other potential plans I might have for later in the year. But it has been a while since I felt like I had to prove something to someone. At Knox, I kind of I felt like I had to prove to people I was actually good at Frisbee, but like anyone paying attention would have known that I was actually good at Frisbee, right? But like, I'm now reaching the level of Frisbee where I either A, am not that good, or B, am that good and I need to put in the work to prove it, right? So I just feel like I have more of a motivation, more of a good reason to be doing this. And I want to either discover that I've hit my max and I've done all I can do in Frisbee, or I want to discover how high I can go. I definitely think there's definitely room for me to grow. My question, is it going to be, mid-level club and I'm the star of mid-level club team, or am I going to start hitting high-level club, professional teams, star of Davenport? Because that's what I want to get to, and I really think I can, like truly. And so, those things, those goals, those desires to prove people wrong and get what I think I deserve is a really good motivator for getting in shape. Because I just took a break. They wanted us to work out over winter break, okay? And I admire that. But I have to take a break somewhere in the year. Holidays is always my break. So I took a 2, maybe 4-week break. Where was I going with that? But, so yeah, I just took a break, so I have to, get back in shape so that I can prove those things. I can't prove them if I don't actually get good enough to, I cannot, I can say I'm good at Frisbee, but if I don't get good at Frisbee, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think that achieving, yes, plus working out to achieve that goal and to get in a better shape and achieving any form of improvement is going to be great for my mental health. Working out is great for your mental health, and achieving anything close to my goals will be great for my mental health. And being able to put a cap on, even if I don't achieve my Frisbee goals, I'm still doing what I love. You know what I mean? So I'm not too worried about, failing. I think it'll be good because this last fall has honestly been the least motivated I've ever been in terms of athletics ever. At Knox, I was the guy who went out and threw 5 days a week, 30 minutes minimum. I did my own lifting plan. I did everything to be the best. This last fall, I hardly threw on my own. I kind of skimmed by on the stuff that the team was doing. We're stopping that. We're getting back to what I was, which is the guy who has to prove to the people on my team and the people watching that I am better and I will be better. And that's really a big goal for me this year, if you can't tell. This summer is a big question mark. Obviously, part of pursuing this bigger dream of Frisbee would be to play for a club team and get very much needed experience. Experience matters a lot. A lot of my improvement over the last fall has simply come from the experience of the team that is Davenport compared to, no offense, Knox. And so I really want to do that. But I also, part of me wants to do camp again. It's another really important thing to me. It's a really important goal of me. But also, I need to kind of move on at some point. I will be 24. I don't know. So will this be the summer where I fully move on and say I'm on the next stage of my life? Will this be the summer where I do a half week of camp just to say that I did it, to hold on to the last vestiges of what I love? Or is this going to be another year of full out camp because I'm not ready to give it up yet? We're going to see. Next school year is also a big question mark. Obviously, I want to prove a lot about Frisbee, but if the money ain't speaking, if life doesn't open up that path for me, and I can't come back to Davenport, I can't come back to Davenport. That's just the reality of life. So that's a big question mark. What's going to happen this next school year? Am I actually going to be able to get back, or is it just not going to work out for me? Job goals. I want to work full-time next year. That might not be possible because of Davenport. That might only be possible if I stop Davenport. So we'll see. There are also other things I would take instead of working full-time, which is, a really sweet part-time gig, maybe a job that brings me more passion, more purpose, but we'll see. But I would love to start working in music education. I really think I'm just going to do elementary music for my whole career. If I do music, it'll be elementary music, I'm pretty sure, because I just love music. I've been learning guitar this last year too, by the way. Getting kind of good at it. And another big goal of mine is to find healthy ways to actively seek for a partner. Obviously, I've been looking for the better part of the last 4 years, and obviously, relationships are not easy. But mental health issues and other me not being a perfect person issues have really gotten in the way of me getting that. And so I don't want to say, I think it's a really bad goal to be this year I'm going to get a girlfriend. This year I'm going to get a wife. That's not, that's not really a healthy way to talk about it. That's really setting yourself up for failure. But I want to find ways to start seeking that out. I want to start, I don't know how to describe it. other than that, yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. It's just find ways to actively seek for a partner in ways that are healthy, in ways that are going to be beneficial for me in the long run, in ways that will actually work, if that makes sense. Like some of the ways I've been looking for a partner have not, like that's not ever going to actually find me the girl who's for me. You know what I mean? All right. I kind of sped through that last part because I'm tired of talking because it's been a long vlog. But again, New Year's vlog. These are kind of the big ones, the ones I'll actually go back and look at in a few years. But yeah, stay tuned. Get ready for my bi-weekly vlogs now. Stay in touch. Oh, some other things. No. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That'll be for something else. Yeah, I guess that's it. I want to end this. It's been long. I have an immense amount of respect and thank you so very much if you watch the whole thing. If not, I get it. A lot of talking. But I hope you do watch my bi-weekly vlogs. They'll be much shorter and much more intentional and much less introspective, I guess. So stay tuned. I hope this next year is going to be really awesome.